Hi guys, welcome to Fast Panda Live, where we're going to be talking about what was revealed at Gencon and our first thoughts on reinforcements now that we've got the rules, we've played a game, we've had a play about in Army, all that good stuff. So as always, you've got me, Stormshroud, you've got Claw,
Hi.
and you've got Ogre.
Oh,
So,
last week I had to say hello, Claw, didn't I? Or was that just something else entirely?
you guys can talk about whatever you like. I mean, I came in before
right,
you were
okay.
talking about stockings for some reason, so anything's possible in this stream. I'll try and control the chaos,
probably-
but I'm making no promises.
Look, you
Yeah.
that's behind the
It was a
scenes
relationship.
magic.
Okay,
Oh dear.
so we've got plenty to talk about this week. Should we start with the Gen Con stuff?
Yeah, let's start with the news.
We saw the new ITS 15 tournament pack with some very interesting artwork on the front cover. Kind of looks like something under a electron microscope to me.
Oh, I see.
Some sort of magnified image. It's got the standard sort of stuff in it. Some card sleeves, badges, tokens, dice. And then the model for this season is the freelance operator Samsa.
Yeah, it looks rubbish. Looks like the
I keep thinking it's Samsung. Like making
phone
some
manufacturer.
televisions and computers and things. Yeah, Samsung. I quite like the tag token things because they've changed the. It was S2 for a few years, wasn't it? Then I think did we get S3 last time, and then now it's gone to S7. So the silhouette tokens are quite nice.
the
Well, what do you reckon to this HVT guy with the funny head, though?
No,
I think we've established Claw is not a fan so far of the extra that we've seen.
no, I'm not. I've got to admit, going back to the pack itself, I generally go for those little tokens, the little coin things. Those little metal coins. They are ace. I've always liked them, and there's a couple of nice ones in this one as well.
Yeah, there's a few bits and pieces in here, isn't there?
I always generally go for the coins.
Okay, so that's that. I mean, I'll never see one because that would involve winning something.
Hey, we won the doubles.
This is true.
You did. You did have to pay me all that money, though, first.
Yeah.
Then we saw the first images for the new ITS Season 5 objective cards, the Operations deck.
Yeah.
I like the artwork on them. I think the artwork on the box is very nice.
This has been a long time coming. The people have been without a classified deck for quite a while. So yeah, it's been coming for a while, and it's got battle conditions in there as well. So that's something new.
I like the artwork that we saw on the new cards. I like the layout they put on the new cards, and those battle conditions look like they're going to replace the generic. This mission has these tokens in it for saturation, which I think is a much nicer way of doing it. I think it allows you the flexibility to pick the card that works thematically for the board you're playing on.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a
we're
nice
playing on an
way.
icy board. You've got jungle terrain. No, yeah.
But I think the artwork looks really nice. I think as I say, it's been a long time coming.
I think the actual missions on them, though, are the ones they've shown anyway, are existing classified deck missions with, as far as I can tell, exactly the same wording.
It looks very similar to the couple that we've seen.
I don't know whether it's just examples and they'll change. They've probably kept a few anyway, haven't they?
To be honest, they're all pretty good. To be honest, it's like if you could change any, what would you change? And you go,
It's the HVT ones do mine in. And you deploy your doctor on the opposite side of the board to the HVT and things like that. Those are the ones that I know.
I mean,
I don't know. There's a few, and there's rescue. I can never seem to do.
I like rescue.
Where you go and
I did rescue.
Well, I know, but I can't do it. I don't know. I just never seem to be able to do it.
I mean, the
So,
classifieds I dislike are always the ones I draw at the beginning of the game because I always look at them and go, I can't do those.
yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Can't do any of them.
Then we also saw that there's a new graphic novel coming, Aftermath, which is going to feature Uhahu again, and apparently going to be set in the seedy underground Aristeo leagues and there's going to be a heist and all sorts of stuff. Sounds quite interesting, and it will come with a limited edition model for someone whose name I cannot say, but she looks cool.
I'll go on.
No, one of you two can take a run at that. I'm not. I'm not even going to try this time.
Ogre really wants to say it now, don't you?
No, I don't. I don't even know what her name is.
Senya?
Let's call
Let's call her Senya Lokotoko Kenya.
Cindy.
I butchered it, so you didn't have to.
Much appreciated. I'll tell you, I'll call her whatever she likes. She looks like she means business. I think the model looks really nice.
The model is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that and painting that. Badly, but I'm looking forward to painting it.
It does look amazing. And you get it's tactical stairs, don't you? So it's not tactical. It's tactical stairs.
She has tactical stairs
to climb off of pallets. That's somebody had fun doing that picture, didn't they?
Let's hope she's got climbing plus.
I don't think so. So, a new Dire Foes box is coming too, with a civilian who, in the artwork, for some reason, I keep thinking she looks like a personal trainer. I don't know why.
It does look a bit lame compared to some other civilians that we've had, but
we showed you the artwork. We haven't seen the sculpt yet, and then we're going to get a new sculpt for Thrasymedes, which the artwork looks quite cool.
This looks very good.
Yeah. He looks a little angry, and then a new sculpt for Jaspier, who hopefully won't be leaning at such a ridiculous angle. Remember?
No.
Well, I don't know how many people remember the original sculpt where he's very far forward with a knife.
No, I don't.
A nightmare to make him stand up.
He's definitely invading your personal space, isn't
he? He very much is. So that was all the...
This is potentially a great box, I think. This could be very useful.
I'm a little surprised it's taken this long because it's Steel Phalanx and Assassins, which was the starter box last year before. So it seems quite a while coming.
It does. Quite delayed, isn't it?
Now we move
Useful
on
at last.
to the releases for each faction. So we have new Icodrons and Imatrons coming.
I saw that and I thought they look very similar to what they looked last time, apart from they got a bit of a faceplate on there.
The poses are definitely a throwback to what we've had previously. I thought they looked a bit Star Wars droidy.
Yeah.
A bit sort of battle droid-esque.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I like them. I'll be honest, I prefer the Imatrons to the Icodrons. I think the new Imatrons look really cool.
Yeah, they do look...
Imatron is the one that doesn't move anywhere, isn't it? And the Icodron is the...
The Imatron is the Wi-Fi extender.
A few weeks ago I moaned about the painting on the Morats. I think, these Imatrons are pretty bad.
Yeah. I think
it's not brilliant.
Yeah, they've put
all. I don't know.
The Imatron or the Icodron?
The guy with the two flamers. That's
Icodron.
The Icodron. I will admit, the painting didn't leap out at me. The green yellow does seem to be a bit of a clash with everything else.
Yeah, but look at they've done the eyes with a stick.
Yeah, they've outlined all the armor plates with, I don't know what. But,
I mean, I'm sure they're going to be popular, especially with people who picked up Combined Army recently, because they are such good units to have in your list.
Did I see Mr. NOP kicking around? Yeah, I did.
He's already got two. I don't know if I'm going to replace the ones I've already got.
He's definitely got at least one of these, hasn't he, Claw? Definitely one of these models.
Took out half my army with a 6-point model or whatever.
Oh no, the 9 points. I think at least 9 points.
Oh, that makes it better.
It's okay, Paul. He has forgiven you, really. He just likes to bring it up every single time.
I don't think he's ever going to get over it, is he?
No, never.
And then we saw a new box for Hack Islam. The Fire Team Alpha box with 2 Moeebs and 2 resculpted Govads in it.
You know what? Do you know that scale of 1 to 5 where 1's a bit meh, 5, or is it the other way around, where 5 will make you buy the army?
Yeah.
These are really nice. These are kind of 4.5, 5 for me.
I just wonder where you were going to go with that for a second.
I'll be honest, I wasn't sure which way he was going to go either.
I like them. I really do like them. The hack stuff at the moment is just coming out and it's lovely. And especially the paint jobs that you've done recently, Ogre, as well. They just look great.
Oh, why? Thank you.
They do. They just look great.
I'm a little bit funny. I'm a bit funny about these, to be honest. I'm not so sure. It took me a while to even realise which were the Govads and which were the Moeebs. And then they've got the Govads have got the MSV1, haven't they? So they're the ones with the funny visors. So it's the HMG and the Hacker, by the look of it.
I was surprised that the Govads got a new models. I thought the old Govad models were still pretty good.
I do. I like them.
I honestly can't tell the difference between the old Moeebs and the new Moeebs. They look very similar to me.
I don't know. Well, to me, the Moeebs have always had baggy pants. So the new Moeebs have got the more structured, armoured leg, lower leg pieces. Why Chloe is that funny? But anyway, that's the. So they've took the pants in their boots, basically. That's a big difference.
It's a modern warfare.
I quite like them, but I don't love them. If that's well,
I'm very tempted to kind of expand my my Hack Islam. That's for sure.
Fair enough. And then we have a Cosmoflot support pack with a mechanic, a stranic, and 2 electronics.
Now the mechanic and the other fella, the humans are great, really look good, but those electronics, no. They are 1 for me.
Wally.
It's not. It's like a cross between Wally and a Scudder. It's.
That's for the Red Dwarf fans, is it?
Yeah.
Which one's stabbing?
I don't know.
I quite like the remotes.
I quite like them. I don't know. I quite like them, but the humans are brilliant.
Yeah,
they're absolutely awesome. Somebody about 6 months ago did a conversion of US Ariadne guy to make him look like the well, I think he's the Doctor. It's absolutely brilliant. I always meant to convert one myself, but it looks as though I don't have to bother anymore because that's a really nice model.
The engineer and the Doctor are great.
I'll be getting one of them.
Sorry, Claw?
The engineer and the Doctor look really nice, but that electronic, nah.
Is that? Yeah, I don't know.
So it's safe to say you like half the
It's a
box,
bit
but not
weird,
the other
not
half.
to do that.
I don't think the paint job necessarily helps it. The pink dot on the pink and blue bit on the top of the head, I think, distracts from the rest of it.
It does look like a dodgy bow, yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's what's doing it for me. But and the paint job on the human figures, that looks good. Whoever painted that, they did a good job. The robot, not so much.
Well, you like the next one,
sure.
Claw. I know you like the next one because
the next
it's
one's my
Lucian's Sforza.
It's a badass Padre. He's just awesome. I really like this one. I've got 2 of these models. I don't know how I've ended up with 2, but I've got 2 of these, and I think I might have to buy a third because he's badass.
Why have you
I'd
got
listen
2?
I'd listen to what he says in the pulpit and everything. Because if not, he'd beat you. You got a stick.
I kind of prefer the illustration with the 2 pistols. But is that how the one that came in Defiance looks, or have I imagined that? But I mean, I quite like this. But this right up your street, Chloe. Yeah.
Yeah.
What army does he? Is he coming? What army does he come in?
He's just at no aligned, I think.
I think he's also in Imperial
Right.
Service, isn't he?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've got to admit.
I think I could be wrong. I'm sure I'll get told.
But yeah, he is after the whole Gencon thing. He is my favourite, and I will be buying this.
Really? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do we feel about the Uberfall Commando, where we're going to have a new Chimera and 3 new Pupniks? We've got some artwork for the Chimera, including the more dynamic piece of artwork. And then we got...
Well, they needed redoing, didn't they?
They definitely needed redoing.
They've been around. It's one of the oldest models.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good.
Some artwork for the new Pupniks. And then a render for the Chimera. I'm curious to see how all that whip is going to connect to everything. It looks like it's part of the tail as well, so hopefully it's going to not just collapse when you breathe near it.
A lot of attention has been brought to the kitty abs, haven't they? They're fantastic abs. They are. I've got a 6-pack. Unfortunately, it's on a 25mm model, but I've got a 6-pack.
It'll be fine.
And then there's the 3 Pupniks, the shark, the goat, and the cat. And then we have a picture of them all together and painted, which I'll leave up for a while. I like the models. I think they're a great unit to use. They're going to be certainly very popular with a lot of Bakunian players. There's something about the way they've been painted that is off-putting for me. I mean, they're painted far better than I can manage, but I don't know. I know it's the colour choices. Something about it just doesn't gel for me.
Yeah, who has purple cats? But cats aren't purple, are they? Where's the reality in this? You know,
it's not
it's just unbelievable, isn't it? They should have gone realistic.
Yeah, if you can have a naked cat, make it pink.
Look, it's not reality that I'm trying to get hold of here. There's something about when I look at the group of them all together, they just sort of jar. Which I know they're Bakunin, they're weird freaks, they're supposed to, but for me, I find them a little jarring to look at.
I don't know. I quite like them, to be honest. Especially the shark guy. It reminds me of Suicide Squad.
King Shark.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to do really well because I know people have been crying out for them for a while.
I've been waiting to get them, to be honest, so I'm looking forward to that.
And
I quite like them. Yeah, they are really nice.
And then we move on to what we saw for the Pano reinforcements. So we saw the sculpt for Agnes, where she is definitely a lot more action-packed than her previous sculpt in Defiance, where she's just walking along.
Is that the short-haired woman with two...
with a submachine gun and a pistol.
Oh, Agnes Ferreira.
I think she looks really cool.
Yeah.
And she's going to come in a blister. She's one of those ones I can see people picking up if they don't play Infinity for other games. She'd make a great character model for
any cyberpunk
sort of cyberpunk role-playing game, yeah. Then we have 2 pictures of Blade Ops. One with the submachine gun with a tactical rock. The helmets of these look very similar to me to Bolts, which probably isn't overly surprising.
They do. They look the same to me.
And then the boarding shotgun one. Both cool. I like both of them. I would probably struggle to pick them out from Bolts if you had forced me to.
If you painted them up the same,
I'd struggle.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from you, Ogre, on those?
I actually quite like them, though.
I didn't say I didn't like them. I look quite a lot like Bolts to me. Then the blocker. I thought this was a cool sculpt. I do like the blocker.
The adhesive launcher.
The adhesive launcher on his back, and then taking aim with that pistol.
Yeah, and he's got some kind of weird pistol, and he's got another gun at his other hip. He's loaded out, this guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was He was
That does
quite
look
cool.
nice.
And then the 2 new bolts we're going to get. The one with the Spitfire. I mean, I suppose the helmets do have slightly more of a horn on them, so there's a similar design aesthetic, but they are slightly different.
A bit of green stuff, and you've got 4 bolts.
Oh, from 4 foot away,
Yeah.
I'm never going to tell the difference.
Yeah, it's got a red head. That'll do.
But I mean, it's time for new bolts, and I like the running pose on the boarding shotgun. I think she looks very cool.
She does.
So
I kind of like the blocker. I think, with a coat and it almost feels like an RPG character. You know what I mean? And they've carried the weaponry under the coat.
yeah, of all the models in that reinforcement box, the blocker is the one that I like the best. So
Yeah,
All right.
I think
I've got to admit, I agree with you on that one.
we all play Pano.
Why?
Are we all planning on picking up that reinforcement box then?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Perhaps. Depends.
It depends. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I quite like them. To be honest, I do quite like them as a group of models. Definitely.
And the last of the stuff we saw from the Gencon is the Jing reinforcements. So, Claw, you get excited to round out the new segment. Starting with Bixie.
well, we call it Bixie, but there's Carlos calls us something else completely. I love this pose. So much better than mine, than the winner's pose.
Often the way, isn't it, though?
Mm.
The general release one seems to be better.
This
I think
one is
it's an awesome pose. It really captures her mobility.
Yeah, she's got robot arms and legs and things, so she's got to be kind of like jumping about and doing something cool. But yeah, I do. It's a really nice pose, and she's got the gun on her back as well on this one. Bishia. That's what I've just noticed in the comments. Bishia.
We'll catch up with the comments in a second. Just
I've got one eye on them.
okay. And then we have the Dokkaebai Cyber Team.
Nah. It's a no.
No, we do. It's on the screen right now.
Yeah, but it's a no from me.
I'm going to guess it's the head that you dislike.
It's the head, the back of the legs, the weird thing on his back, the chest plate. It's just a lot of no for me. It's a lot of no for me on this. I wanted to think, oh, can I just like change the head? But no, it's the wing things. It's the radar antenna on the back end, and it's the chest plate and whatever's on its calves. It's got super calves. Are they wheels? What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually quite like this because it's different. It feels robotic without.
I think if I could sort the head out, I'd be less concerned about it. I wonder whether you can kind of shave the front of the head off, remove the blocky bit in the middle, and then stick the front of the face more onto where the head is.
Back
if you
on.
know what I mean. I think it might look a bit better at that point. But
Yeah, maybe.
it is. It's like weird bits stuck together. It's yeah. I don't know. Not for me at all. But
Okay.
yeah, could be saved with a bit of plastic surgery, I think, on the face. But,
I'm on my own there, but I quite like it. We then have some artwork for the Haiti or Haiti.
Yeah, it's a generic mini tag, I think. I'll wait to see the sculpt, I think, but it just looks like it's going to be a generic mini tag. So
I would
fair
agree.
enough.
Yeah. I do, however, like the next couple. The Hoangs, I thought were quite cool.
Oh yeah,
Don't
they look good?
The shotgun pose, I think, is nice and neutral. The second pose, the close combat pose, he really looks like he means business.
He really looks like he's going to check your head off.
Yeah, no, I think they both look really, really cool.
They are my favourite sculpts from the using releases, definitely.
Okay.
all right.
Even how about
Certainly,
you?
the guy with the sword is amazing, isn't it? He looks kind of proper. He looks almost combined army-ish in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like something about his armor and his head gear and stuff. I like that a lot.
I think they're very cool. And then we have the Salsa with the submachine gun and the very cool hat.
No, I wouldn't say cool hat.
He looks awfully proud of his hat. I wouldn't say anything bad about his hat to his face.
He looks awfully proud of his hat, but he's not my fan. He's got fantastic. He's got the best profile. One of the worst heads.
You were never a
the head
fan.
department of this is just not been doing a very good job.
It's a traditional Korean style hat, though, isn't it?
I know.
Adapted for cyberpunk aesthetic.
I just, yeah, I'm just not a fan. Just not a fan. I'm just not a fan.
Fair
The
enough.
rest of it looked great. Whatever he stood on, that looks cool.
I'd be very tempted to paint whatever he stood on to paint like a lantern because it looks kind of lantern-esque to me.
It does. It does.
And then we have two sculpts for the Soyoung. Another one with a light shotgun, and I do like this new light shotgun design. They seem to have the Jing reinforcements. Looks really cool. But I think the other pose is the better of the two again.
The sniper, shock marksman rifle.
The shock marksman rifle, yeah. That kneeling pose for me is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all of the images we had from Gencon. We should probably catch up with the comments before we move on to the main discussion point for our evening. So, Claw, over to you.
Okay, so let's go right back to the beginning. Madden 1974, great year. Here we go. Mr. Head and Pete, good evening, and good evening to you. Nexus 13, any explanation of how your doubles pairing worked? Sounds like it caught a lot of people out taking to them.
Your lists. It's your list, isn't it? I think. With the old razzle and then the bit of dazzle.
But they would have worked completely independently when we looked at them. Because you said that if there was a buy, we'd have to fight each other. So the list I took could fight him.
So I don't know. It worked. It kind of worked all right, didn't it?
It did.
When I came over, one of you was always claiming that you'd not killed anybody. Honestly, Guff. And then the other one was like grinning.
Well, I couldn't do anything until that dude was dead.
Roll seemed to swap.
You did complain that I didn't kill enough for you.
Yeah, I did. Well, the thing is, because we've played against each other that many times, we know what each other can do and know what each other's going to do. So that synergy was definitely there.
It was a great day, though. It was a very fun tournament.
It was. Thank you for everybody who played against us. It was really good. Don't eat after 17. I just turned on. Is deck in progress, or can we buy that to take my money? Yeah, that deck is going to be coming soon at the start of ITS 15.
So I was asking Alan from Laserforge earlier. It's not on the pre-order list yet.
I'm going to guess September. I'm going to guess the September releases. It'll be included in that.
Yeah.
Trans Behemoth, evening, folks. Evening, Behemoth. Don't eat after 17. She kills Wolf Princess Mononoke. That's no idea.
It's a reference to the wolf on the shoulder of the nomad mafia woman.
Okay. It's good to have you paying attention. Dan, where's that gone? Oh, I've just had a flash and everything changed. Dan says, I think it's the jump shoot and the towel around the neck that makes the HVT look like a trainer. So yeah, the jump shoot and the towel around the neck. Yeah, she's just been into.
That is a weird choice, isn't it?
Transbehemoth, yeah, I agree. The Icodron and the Imitron models have a pretty bad paint job. Hoppy, hi Hoppy, I would be deathly afraid to be healed by those robots. Yes. What are they going to do with those probes?
We've established they'd stab him.
Don't eat after 17. I think those REMs look okay because after all, their fluff is that they were lost in space, so they appeared. So is their technology. But is it too far that way? Are they trying to go too far? It's old technology kind of look to it.
It does kind of sit in keeping with the tractor mules.
It does,
which are models again that need a resculpt, so maybe they'll sort of tie together.
Yeah.
Chris Williamson, Shirosa is in OSSSSSS. So father, what's his name? Shirosa.
Yeah.
In OSSSSSS. Chaos Gunrunner. Hi, Chaos Gunrunner. They look okay, but the old ones are more iconic unit to me. I don't know if he's talking about the fairies. Fairies come to. Oh my god. Fairies come to infantry. Says don't eat after 17. Madden 1974 says Bishia, for which we've always been called Bixie. Too far. I don't know who says don't eat after 17. I don't know what she's discolated more, hip or leg joint.
Cyber legs, they bend weird.
They do weird. They do bend weird.
Do you remember the combined army pilot as well? Was it one of the pilots was like facing the wrong direction?
Oh, it's the ratio pilot. She's basically sort of twisted round on herself. Yeah.
Similarly, it reminded me of that a lot. Go to the same health club, perhaps.
Pictures for Yu Jing, yay! I want pictures in Yu Jing. That's
well, you'll have to paint the Dakaibai robot that you don't like, then.
Okay. I want pictures that much.
Okay.
The hater looks like an upsized Ujak, and I love Ujaks. Yes, it does. I like that. It's a Korean tag, I suppose. Madden 97, it's definitely a cool hat. Is it though? And Fox says more hats on heavy infantry. Yeah, why would you do that? Madden says seems Claw doesn't like the stuff that differs too much from the average mediocre stuff. There's nothing wrong with mediocre.
That's what we aim for.
You know where you are with porridge. People like different things. They do, Dan. Thank you. Don't eat out 17, frying pan on head. That's kind of what I was thinking. And Chaos Gunrunner, did you talk about how they revealed the Uber Falls before they revealed the lizard?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they decided to push the tag back more closely to coincide with the reinforcements releases.
It's entirely possible.
Maybe.
And
I think the tag is listed, isn't it? As one of the reinforcements, whereas the Uber Falls are just in there, aren't they? So, good point, that.
Which is quite a nice segue into us talking about reinforcements. So we played a game with the new rules on Friday. Yeah. And it went up and you all saw it over the weekend, potentially. It went up on Saturday. You might have seen it, you might not have done. We're not going to talk specifically about the game, so we're not going to spoil anything for you. We're going to talk about how it felt to play and our thoughts on the rules and our thoughts on the new units and in Army and so on and so forth. So, I'm going to kick things off. I quite like it in a lot of ways. I don't know if that's because I want to like it, because it's new and it's different. I do have some issues with it. I think it's quite restrictive in some ways. So your army is split into 250 points and 100 points of reinforcements. But that 250 points must include a comlink model. That comlink model is between 20 and 25 points, roughly. So you've really only got between 225 and 230 points to build your main list.
And half an SWC.
Oh, and half an SWC. That's a good point. The comlink models themselves all at the moment are all standard line infantry models, which takes out some list options. So if you wanted to play all camo as Shazvasti, you can't. If you're playing, go on, Claw. I know what you want to say here.
This particular point is one of my biggest bugbears. Now, I'm sure they've sat around a table and said, okay, to sort it out, we've got this comms guy. He's going to be 10 points more than your standard line infantry, half a number scope, and that'll sort the problem out. What was the problem? Why is he there? Why do you need it? Essentially, I was trying to put together a Invincibles list using Invincible, my favorite faction, a sub faction, and I'd have a list of I'd have a core team of Invincibles and their mate, the Zanshi. Why? Why would you take him along? Because he's just a random Zanshi in an army? No, I'm not. I'm sure it sorts a problem out, and I'm sure somebody at home could probably type and find out why. What was the problem that needed to include it? I don't. No, it's not for me. It was a waste of 20 points, waste of a unit, waste of something that I could actually spend that spend those points on something good in my first 250-point lists instead of a random Zanji that's going to stand at the back.
I think the reason the Comlink Trooper is there is to allow them the flexibility with the Comlink skill to have the pluses so that you can have more models in your army. But the pluses, this is my second point, the pluses are so common that they kind of feel as if they have no value. Most factions seem to have +1 or +2. There are some that don't, but most of them seem to have +1, +2. Which is why there has to be a Comlink.
Maybe that's part of it, isn't it? I would have loved to have seen them put it on, some of the medium infantry that nobody ever uses. There's or like Claude said, like some of the stuff you would always take as a basic trooper, but in different armies. I would love to see it on a few different profiles within the armies, rather than just on the one basic guy.
And yeah, I agree. They got the opportunity to do it in the future. This could well just be a testing the water type job, but I think they've also missed a trick with the Comlink, where when you're building your list, you've got 250 points and 100 points, but you've got no flexibility between those points. So if you spend 247 points on your main faction and 96 on the other, those 7 points, you can't combine them. It would have been nice to see someone like a Comlink Flex +5 -5 or something, where you can take 5 points and swing it either way, or 10 points or whatever, just to allow you to get those points to work out.
It could quite easily be in a 350 point 350 point standard game, as they're saying, you've got to take 250 points in your main and 100 point in your reinforcements. And what they could have said is you can out of the 350 points, you can take up to between 90 and 100 points of reinforcements, and the rest goes to your main. It would be as easy as that.
Yeah, because I think, Cole, you were saying that you feel as like there's you were left like 7 points that you couldn't spend because they were in 2 different pools, which is a flash pool spot or a Morlock or whatever, depending on what factions you're playing. So that was my thoughts on why it feels kind of restrictive in some ways in how it fits together at the moment. I can see lots of things appearing in the comments. I don't know if that's people telling me to shut up and go away or agreeing with us.
Both.
Oh, both. Okay, that's fair enough. That's about what we expect.
I think it's that is a problem. I mean, I've not played the game, but I've been playing around with lists and things, and there's always you can't quite get to the 100, can you? Or you can't quite get to the 250 because it's just not quite what you want. And it is a little bit restrictive. I mean, there's some of the reinforcement troops you can't even get to 100. I don't think there's there's no mathematical way of doing it. I don't think so. I think there's got to be a bit of flexibility there, or some little extra troops thrown in here and there, just to kind of actually make it mathematically possible.
Just a little bit of flex, I think, would make all the difference in making the list building less onerous. Because you feel like you're fiddling about with stuff unnecessarily, to me. The second point is that the new reinforcements profiles, for the most part, are only available in the reinforcements. So there's a couple of exceptions. Max, the Cascuda, that freelance operative Samsa is available generally, but most things. So if you want to play with the Apaches or Mars Spiders, you've got to play the reinforcements options. So I don't know, just it could just be at the moment just to try and encourage people to play it that they're doing it that way. But
if it doesn't pan out and people don't play it, people aren't going to buy them.
precisely. And if someone, just going to feed into something we said later, if someone sees one of these new models in the reinforcement pack and goes, I absolutely love that, and that's what gets them started playing Infinity, then they can't use it until they get to the point where they're playing reinforcements. I think that is going to potentially put them off playing.
Yeah. I kind of think they'll do an update to Army at some point and put them all in, whether it's when the new ITS season starts or whether when the models get released or something. But I kind of think they must put them in. I think, like you say, otherwise nobody's going to buy them because you used to not be able to use them.
I'm sure they have got a coding plan.
There's got to be something up the sleeves.
The thing is, they can do that with them having the app that's free out there. They can update. They have got that option. They can always change things around. That's the thing. Beauty about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will at the moment. I guess it's because they're trying to encourage us to play reinforcements. So I'll move on to my third point because this is where this is one of the. So when they introduced tactical awareness onto all tags, or when they gave the Tachimoto rule for REMs in ITS 14, I think it encouraged those units to be used more. I don't think reinforcements does the same thing. I don't think it's going to change the troops that are popular as a general rule. Because if you're looking at a 250 point list, you're still going to be looking at the same sort of points value units, maybe to the sort of the high teens, low 20s units that do good work to help you get up to 10, 12 models at 250 points. I don't think it's going to change what people are taking in the same way that when they added tactical awareness to tags, more people started taking tags because they became more viable. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the lists I've been building, it just feels weird to end up with 3 groups. So the ones with +1 or +2, so you end up, like I've been doing a few Ariadne lists and things, and I end up with like the normal 2 groups like you would do, and then a third group with the reinforcements. And it just feels disjointed and weird because you want to kind of take the stuff works, don't you? And then we're bolting on the other bit, or is it encourage us at 350 just to take more cool stuff? Less models, more points of the cooler stuff. I don't
Always
know.
works for me.
I'll figure it out.
It always works for me.
It depends on depends on the faction you're playing, though. I think because 250 points if you're playing Ariadne is still quite a lot of play because Ariadne has so many cheap troops. If you're playing something like Pano or Military Orders, Invincible Army, some of the more expensive factions, OSS, combined, that loss of 50 points to build your starting force, it has quite a big impact on what you want to take. I think.
Yeah.
Before we move on, do we want to catch up with the comments before they get out of control, Claw?
Yeah, okay. Mr. Hendo P says non-aligned armies are not line troopers. Okay. Madden's 1974 says armies that have access to cheap units have less problems to build useful lists for the reinforcements mod. Like we just said. Dan Fock, the No Pain War Driver is a pain to fit into White Company, but overall I quite like the reinforcements as a different way to play. Yeah. Nexus 13 is No Pain an utterly useless skill? While we were discussing the other day, I played No Pain. What's her name? Pandora. Never came up. No. Not once. So I couldn't tell you if we used it, but I never used it.
It's a very niche program. I've very rarely seen it used.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to use it, maybe. Chris Williamson, personally, I think the armies that can play around 10 strong models will have an easier, will have it easier than more horde armies. I don't know. I don't know about that one because I generally take a 10 model, a one group army, and I struggle to put a decent list together, I've got to admit. Chris Cenobite, it's not only restrictive, it's another level of complexity for new players. There are literally different profiles for the same unit, reinforcements and non-reinforcements.
I have a point about new players we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
NOP, is Toa the only faction with a choice of 2 comlinks?
I don't know. I didn't even know Toha did that. I didn't look at Toha. They don't count. They're not real.
Who are Toa?
Tohu?
Who? Dan says there are few non-aligned armies that have 2 options. Madden,
is that because they've come in with line infantry from 2 different factions? So, for example, if you look at vanilla Ariadne, your comlink officer could be a grunt, a Rokot, a Kazakh, etc., etc. Because it's got all the options that you would have on all the sectorials.
That's why we have to force Corvus Belli to release the Koreans as a 4 sectorial Jing. I think the Koreans should be a 4 sectorial, because the thing is, these new models, they could just say, okay, these new reinforcements, you can take them in this sectorial, which are the uber fast, go wherever you like sectorial with a bit of backstory. That could be the way they're going to go. Stick all the new models in their own 6 sectorials. Easy for Corvus Belli to do. And NOP, the 250-point list may encourage people to take some cheaper, less used units. Now let's take less models, mate.
But, okay, Paul, I see your point, NOP. But people are already taking those cheaper units to use to counteract things like the Avatar. So let's look at Combined Army, which has a plethora of cheap units. They take it to counteract the points cost of the Avatar. So I'm not sure that's true. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling. I do think, moving on to my next point, that it does change the way the game plays. And even if things go wrong early on, you're still in the game, because retreat is now practically impossible. Because the threshold for retreat is 88 points, and it's calculated at the step after your reinforcements have arrived. And your reinforcements are 100 points, which means it's practically impossible to end up in retreat. Unless you get battered in the first turn, your reinforcements turned up, you get battered in the second turn, you start your third turn in retreat. But you'd have to lose so many models for that to happen. I'm sure it will happen, but I think it'll happen a lot less when you're playing with reinforcements than it happened without them.
I'm sure I'll not have to try very hard, and still I'll manage that, don't worry.
Okay, I'll leave that testing with you, Ogre.
Thanks. Do you think, I don't know whether I'm leaping in here, is it going to affect AROs? Because that's something I've been thinking about, is it going to be better to leave with more AROs that then could potentially get killed and then gives you your 100 points of dead stuff? But, that also, if the other guy, gets his reinforcements early as well, all the kind of the ARO stuff, it feels to me as if hiding all your stuff doesn't work anymore, or will not work with a reinforcement game. I think you're going to have to rethink it quite a lot, about how you set up and what you do to kind of counteract this. Because I want to be, if somebody's going to bring in all these guys within the area in the middle, I want to set up a load of stuff to take that out as soon as it arrives, kind of thing. As soon as you start using orders on it.
If you're looking if you're looking at the courtesy list and there's a tag in it, hey, pitchers, repeaters, everywhere along the centre. Yeah.
I mean,
tag there, mate.
It definitely does affect how you play the game, which I do like. I think it's a really good thing. So, without giving anything away from the game that went up on Saturday, I had a couple of orders left at one point, and I knew that there was a possibility Claw was going to bring his reinforcements in, and that did influence where I spent those last orders, because I couldn't really kill anything else, but I could potentially move things into positions that were going to make his reinforcements have a harder time when they turned up. And I think it is going to influence things like that. So if you're going to go, I'm going to move over here.
That's the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Surely that's the point.
To dissuade
it's making you do different things.
Yeah, which I think is great. And it changing the way the game plays without changing anything dramatically, I think is a good thing.
But that's going to slow the game down, which is going to really annoy tournament organisers to try and hurry people on, because people are generally slow anyway. And the game that we played, the edited version was 2 hours, but we were there for
about 4.5.
5. I was at your house for 5 hours because we got there about 7. I left at midnight.
Nobody wants that, do they?
No, but we did do what we normally do and natter and talk rubbish. But it definitely did slow the game down. That is the next point I have on my list. That was brilliant, Chloe. Well done. Because you've got so many other things to consider. So when you trigger the reinforcements, you don't have to bring them in. It's a you can bring them in at that point. So say, do I bring them in now, or do I try and hold out for another turn because I'm going to be in a better position potentially?
Oh, I mulled over that part because we were playing frontline. So if I was to I was going second. If I was to drop my drop pod at the end of round 3, I could go here, done. So it took me we discussed it between us for a lot. Well, do I kind of say, and he says I can, but I don't want to. So it took us a while to work out whether I should bring him. But the thing is, what swung it for me is Storm was positioning himself where if I came down on that last turn, I wouldn't be able to put them where I wanted to do things without being shot in ARO, because he was moving his forces to position where I couldn't drop it on the third round. So that's when I did bring it on the second.
Which is a good thing. Feedback is to say it does change how the game plays, and that's great, and that's what it's supposed to do. But it also slows it. It does definitely slow it down, because not only you decide, am I bringing them in? It's a case of, okay, I've decided I'm bringing them in. Where am I putting this drop pod? And then effectively you've got a second sort of mini deployment phase while you position your models where you want them. So I definitely think it's going to make tournament rounds, certainly the first few tournaments when people are still getting used to it, I think tournament rounds are going to have to be longer.
Yeah. I think they're going to have to. I wouldn't want to do anything for at least 3 months, while people get used to it. I think it would just be an absolute nightmare. You would end up with people just getting stuck around turn 2, wouldn't you, and never finishing a game, I think. So, yeah, I totally agree. It's going to take... there's so many more... people get analysis paralysis, don't they, anyway?
Oh.
Chucking a load of new things to think about. It's going to take longer.
Definitely.
And talking about analysis paralysis sort of feeds in, this is not an option for new players. If you've got someone new to Infinity, that button doesn't exist for them. Let them get their head around the basics of Infinity first of all. Get up playing 200-point games, 250, 300-point games. And once they're comfortable with that, then you introduce the reinforcement rules. It is not for new players. I think it'd be too much. I think it would put people off if their first experience of Infinity was a game with reinforcements.
Can you imagine having to tell them about? I can't even think about it.
Yeah, the reinforcements are not for you.
No. Yeah, we should be hide the button. Should be able to hide the button until you've graduated to a certain level.
Yeah, you can't drive on a motorway until you pass your test.
Exactly. But no, I totally agree. Yeah, it's not for you. Can't even begin to tell people about reinforcements so they're already starting.
The concept is not hard. The idea is not hard. But when you've got all those things to think about, where if I land here, am I going to get shot? Am I going to get hacked? Am I going to land? If I move, am I going to set mines off? All that kind of stuff. It's just. Yeah, it would take forever to explain why put what where, how, and that kind of thing.
I also think it would complicate list building for them as well.
Yeah,
because list building in Infinity when you're starting out can be tricky. You've got points, you've got SWC, you've got there's a hacker, there's a killer hacker, there's a hacking device plus, there's blah 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 blah. There's so much stuff to think about. If you're then saying you've also got to worry about this reinforcement section, which is like a second little army list. You can only have a fraction. No, I don't think it's new player friendly. But I don't think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be there for those of us who've been playing the game for ages to give us a new way to play. In fairness, so before I move on to my bugbear, Claw Ogre, do you have anything you'd like to add? Because I might go off on a rant in a second.
Oh, right. My worry. A lot of what you've said are my thoughts as well. We have been talking about this today a little bit, and we kind of were arguing for about half an hour before we went live, didn't we? But I think what you've said is absolutely, your points that you've raised are my thoughts too. My other concern is whether, at the moment, a lot of these models for reinforcements aren't available, and I don't like using proxies. I'm not a proxy person, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna struggle a little bit to play games with models that don't exist at the moment. And there's for tournaments and things as well. Like 1 or 2 proxies is fine, but if we're proxying 5, 6, 7 models, I don't know. It could get a little bit crazy. So
I think the aversion to proxying is a trait that all three of us share. I mean, we disagree on many things, but none of us like to proxy models. And I think if your faction is one of the ones way down the list for the reinforcement release, they may release well after the wave of a lot of people playing it have passed.
I don't even like it to proxy different guns.
I know exactly what you mean.
So one of my worries is for the people who are way down the list, are they going to lose
interest?
Like the love for doing a reinforcement army or whatever. Where is it going to end up? Is it just for Pano and Jing players, or are the rest of everybody else going to get the stuff? Is it going to be too late? Almost. I was wondering whether they should have released the idea of what was happening and then got the models out and then released the rules, or I kind of I don't know. That's
it's a chicken and egg
the
thing,
hater of proxies coming out there.
It's a chicken and egg thing. For me, my biggest bugbear was the comms skill. I can't see the point of it. I really can't. Meh. That's I don't like it.
Yeah.
I have to accept it. I don't like it. Let's have a quick look at comments. Okay, so no pain is from Chris Williamson. No pain is cool if you have all the programs. Good if somebody's trying to Trinity you. It's better than a reset. Yeah, but I've just not had a chance to use one yet. Dan says, I think what I like the most about reinforcements right now is that people are still experimenting with list building and figuring out reinforcements. To me, that's far more interesting. Yeah, I've got to admit, Dan, that was working out tactics and what to do, how to take. Do you take specialists? Do you take heavy units in your reinforcements? All them ways to go. It's just that is quite good at the moment. Madden 1974, hard arrows are more viable option with reinforcements, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I've got to admit, I did take a long specifically because I wanted to.
You always take them. What are you on about?
Don't always take them. They're expensive. I always take the total reaction HMG if I don't take them. I've got to admit.
Oh, that's true.
Once reinforcements have been solved, I think it'd be less interest. There'd be less interest in playing it. Probably.
Well, see, I think they kind of tried to plan for that because there's 12 or so units available for most of the reinforcement sections, so I don't think there is necessarily going to be a solution. I don't think there is necessarily a perfect list for every faction in Infinity. I know there are some people who think there is a list and then you get to it, but I think there's always different ways to play all the factions, so I'm not sure there will be a solution.
Nope. Madden, it is the first time that I'm considering putting up to Jan House as a hard ARO piece. I did think about that. I've got to know.
Have fun with the 150 points. Sorry, 120 points.
Yeah, but wow. Yeah, come at me, bro. Kind of thing. Dan says tournament organisers will probably want to give more time for games. If a game goes to time after 2 rounds, one player may not have had the opportunity to bring in their reinforcements. So yeah, if you're cutting off games
That is a
out
very good
round
point.
2, I've painted up all
Yeah.
these dudes. So that'll be interesting how it works in tournaments. Like we said, it is going to go on longer. Bannon says, once the reinforcements match I've played so far, bringing the reinforcements as the second player in round 3 turned out to be really strong. Probably does. But I'm not. I need to play more games. Chris Williamson, I think the influence, the normal way I play, I normally play aggressive steel phalanx player. It will give me pause over if I tear down a flank, just to be butchered by folks knowing that I'll be outflanked. Overextending. There is a lesson in the game that we played. If you watch that, there is a lesson about overextending. Definitely, without giving too much away.
Teachable moment.
Very teachable moment.
That yoga practice isn't paying off, is it? There's one more comment. Chris actually just messaged me personally about, you mentioned you didn't know whether you wanted to bring in the reinforcements or not, but it says can, doesn't it? And I think I've seen on the forums today that you can choose to put them in or not, can you? So if you qualify and then you can put them in, you don't have to put them in.
No, we did look at that wording, to be honest.
And then debated it for about half an hour.
Yeah.
Not proxy.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that today.
Oh, it wasn't that whether we could or couldn't do it. It was that we established it was a decision that we had to make. It was a half an hour debate of whether we should go yes or no on the decision.
And Miko, hi Miko. Not proxy, and even the gun seems pretty hardcore in Finichi. I don't know. I kind of like the guns to be the right guns.
I know exactly what you mean. I always take Mendoza as the heavy shotgun because that's the model I have.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. There's somebody called Monster Makings who's got the 3D sculpts of all the guns. The only reason I want a resin printer is so I can print his guns off and change some of the guns on them. So it's the right guns.
Absolutely. On that too. The other thing I like to not take proxies for is for memory. Because if it's what I see on the table is what I use. If it's something else, it confuses me.
I don't proxy because I'm an old man. Get over it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so
is it time for Storm to reveal his big bugbear?
The bugbear that I went on the forums again about.
Is it going to be censored?
I'm going to be good. I have a little script over here so I don't start swearing.
Excellent.
So the thing that I don't agree with, and I've yet to see an explanation that makes it make sense for me, is the fact that your reinforcement section is open information. It doesn't make logical sense to me. For me, it breaks the internal logic of the game. How can I know the full contents of this reinforcement section that, according to the token, is plummeting in a drop pod from somewhere in the upper atmosphere? But I can know exactly what's in that drop pod, but I don't know about something that's combat jumping. I don't know about something that's in hidden deployment. It's not on the board. I shouldn't know what's in it. I shouldn't have that information at the start of the game to influence how I play. It's not on the table. Why is it open information? I haven't seen an explanation that makes it make sense to me.
Because if you go, I've got a tag. It means I can kind of put lots of repeats in the middle of the table and stop you bringing that tag in.
Yeah, okay, I've seen the logic that they shouldn't be there because it prevents it being a gotcha or it being too powerful. But hidden deployment, combat jump, decoy, all of mines, all of these things are designed to be in-game gotchas. How is reinforcements any different? How can it be public information, open information, before it's on the table? I don't understand that.
Go on, give you a Cascuda.
Well, the Cascuda example, okay. So if you take vanilla combined, I apologise. This for some reason has made me disproportionately annoyed with the entire rules edition for rules for reinforcements. I don't understand why, it just has.
Don't forget to breathe, mate. Don't breathe, mate. Have a breath. There we go.
Yeah, breathe.
Okay, so you take a Cascuda in vanilla combined army. That's 60 odd points, but it's dropping, so your opponent doesn't know what it is. So it could be an anathematic. It could be that you've got mines down and there's a couple of hidden deployments. It could be numerous different things. However, the one in the drop pod, I know exactly. I know its shoe size. I know what it had for lunch. I know everything about that one, but not the other one that's also falling from orbit. Well,
Yeah, it's the wrong type of orbit, clearly, isn't it? Or something. Maybe that's what the Comlink guy's done, isn't he? He's kind of somehow broken into the CCTV of the drop pod in question and figured out everybody's in there. Maybe that's what's worth 10 points.
The dude with the iPhone 76. That's what we're spending the 10 points and the half the SWC for, is it?
Exactly. But I kind of, I get what you mean completely. The whole thing about not knowing, there's points off the table, and part of the strategy and the cleverness of it, isn't it, is to try and work out what on earth is not on the table at the moment. So you'll know that there'll be some reinforcements, but you've no idea. You shouldn't. It's weird to know what they are. I think we're used to with things dropping in from the sides or the heavens or other drop pods that you can't hack, and we don't know what they are. So it does feel weird for them to arrive. You know exactly what it's going to be.
As a player,
I don't know, but you don't get. Is the argument going to be that all the kind of camo stuff and the infiltration stuff and the parachutist has all disappeared because they're all in a great big flashing, drop pod with flashing lights on it. Everybody knows who's in there.
But you don't know where it's going to land. You know what's in it, but you don't know where it's going to land. So it breaks the internal logic of the game for me. I don't understand the decision, and I've not yet seen an explanation that makes me go, "Oh, okay, I see why you've done that." Nothing that anyone has said has made me feel that makes sense now.
I went on the forums again, and I had a look on the forums, and we brought up this subject on the Corvus Belly community forum, and Psychotic Storm said that the development team said it's open information. Okay, fair enough. I don't agree with it because of this, that, and the other. Pretty much what you were saying. And then Connie says, had a word with the development team, and it is open information. I don't like it, don't agree with it, but I'll accept it. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And we all know Connie's kind of like been on things and got things wrong. Go and ask him again, Connie, just to make sure, please.
Bless him.
It's just.
I'm going to say this part of it has not annoyed me at all. It's not. You know what I mean? It doesn't quite make sense, but it's not really upset me or got me annoyed like you guys. I'm quite easy with. I don't know. Of all the things, this is not one of the things that's upset me.
I am disproportionately annoyed with this for the amount of impact it actually has. I don't understand why it's that way around. Maybe that's why I'm disproportionately annoyed, because I was just expecting it to be private information because it wasn't on the board.
Private information until it arrives, then you go, here you go, here's my other sheet. No problem with that.
Here's my 100 points.
Here's my 100-point sheet. Yeah. It's here. It's over there next to your combat group. Here you go. This is what's in it. And then it becomes public information. It becomes. I think that should be the word. It becomes.
Yeah. You give it to your opponent as you deploy your drop pod, so he can go. Okay, you've got that, and that. That makes perfect sense.
The same
Give
way
it
you
to
would
your
a combat
opponents
track.
before you give it to your opponent. That's what you're basically saying.
Yeah.
But there'll be people out there who know at the moment the choices for your reinforcements are quite small. People will know what's coming, won't they? Or they'll know roughly what's about to arrive. It's not like it's going to be a huge surprise, is it? But you don't have to. Yeah, I don't see why you have to tell them. It seems very very peculiar. You kind of because you're not gonna. I don't know. It's not like you can change your army list, is it? Knowing what's going to happen.
No,
You kind of
but the
like
thing is,
you
you
deal with
can,
them as it arrives.
but you can plan for it if you know that you've got an opponent with a drop pod full of specialists. They're not. They're going to come down. They're going to try and do the objectives, or so you can plan for that with the army you've got, or with the army you've got, you could plan for their heavy infantry that's going to come down. You know what I mean? So you can plan for what's coming. So I think that's what matters. Anyway, such is life.
You can do house rule it, can't you?
Well, so I think someone in the comments has asked one of the questions that has been bugging me. One of the reinforcement options you get in Hack Islam is Hafsas with Hollow Mask. So the contents of your reinforcement list is open information, but the contents of your Hollow Mask is private information. Which one takes precedence? Do you tell them it's a Hafsa, or do you give them the courtesy list for your reinforcements?
Hamster.
Which
Hamster.
or do you give them the one that has?
I thought you could tell them it's a hamster.
We can change the names of Hafsters to hamsters from now on if you like. I'm okay with that. It just feels. I mean, I like the reinforcements update. I like the way it's going to change the game. I think it's going to be fun to play around with and experiment with, and I think for narrative games, it's going to give so many cool options. This, to me, just this one thing just feels like a misstep. Yeah. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I haven't yet seen an explanation for that reason that makes sense to me. And I'm going to stop ranting now and give control back to someone who's calmer.
Well, overall, we've now played a game, and I've got to admit that game was really good fun. It was a great game. Was that to do with the reinforcements? I don't know. I need to play more games, and I'm not averse to playing more games of reinforcements. The game we played, thoroughly enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. The swings backwards and forwards was mind-blogging. We were both emotional at times. We were both giddy at times. We were both at the end going, ooh. And it was a really good game. Was that due to reinforcements? I don't know, and I need to play more games. I really do need to play more games of reinforcements to kind of get a feel on it, because the game I played, really enjoyed it. Gotta say that after all the kind of criticism we've just been saying, really enjoyed it. Now, what do you guys think? Is reinforcements good? Is reinforcements bad? I'm not sure. I need to play more games.
There's some good comments actually if you go in the comments at the moment about what we've been talking about with the revealing or not revealing the things. I don't know if you want to have a look at that, Claude.
Okay, don't answer my question then.
Before we wander on to your question.
Can we have time? We can have time to think about the answer while you do this. You see.
All right.
Well,
the thing is, I'm looking at it and I'm saying that Mr. NOP has kind of come out with a comment I don't really agree with. Storm is 100% right. That's just wrong. Storm is 100% right about his rant. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Some money has definitely crossed palms there, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Transmehemoth says, agreed. The Steel City group were discussing this and it doesn't make much sense to us too. Yeah. Madden, the only explanation I can come up with is that it is that is with balance, and it would make the reinforcements even stronger. It does not make sense for the from the narrative, but I'm glad it's open information. Reinforcements is stronger, but your first half, your main army is weaker because of your comms guy costing you a fortune, doesn't need to be there, and you've got a unit you don't really want.
I think he's trying to argue that having it making it hidden private information makes it stronger.
Yeah, and
I don't. Given that's you're supposed to be highlighting the reinforcements as an advantage. Surely that's good.
Andre, hello. Obviously, Adversely, it's a slow drop pod made of transparent armor glass. Troops start combat looking at the enemies coming. Oh yeah, there's a cascade.
There they are. There they are.
Hoppy says, flight plans have to be announced. What's the seating arrangement of the drop pod? Oh, Cascuda.
Genius.
Okay, Senior Bumuzdez says, sorry, I butchered your name. Hi all, I agree with Storm there. For me, it would be better to be hidden information. Andre says, Comlinks guys start screaming and announced who they called. That's why they 10 more points. You know my name? Yo. Hello, you know my name. Mad Max, being open for information makes total and complete sense. Let me explain it. CB have given us a half-baked update. Yep, CB giving us a half-baked update. That's yeah, fine. That's what they do. Let's do reinforcements. Time for siesta? Yes, let's go for siesta. Nexus 13, I'll be happy if they turn around and say hidden information reinforcements were played, tested, and turned out to be too powerful. Maybe, but how many games did they play? We don't know. So what's about Havsa in reinforcements? We've had that conversation. I also need to play more games, says Madden, but I do enjoy it. Mixes things up, and the peeps are shaken out of their comfort zones. Definitely making it different. Miko, we're going to have a 16-person 3-round tournament using reinforcement in Helsinki in 3 weeks' time. It's going to be such mayhem. Oh yeah,
glorious mayhem, glorious mayhem, but mayhem.
Please tell us all about that.
Yeah,
please tell us all about it.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers, I think is the comment. Chris Williamson, if I had to make a call, whilst I agree from the narrative viewpoint, it makes no sense to know what's in the drop pod. The difference between the hidden deployment, drop pod troops, etc., is the numbers involved.
Clearly, you've never played Claw when he's playing his Yu Jing and drops 4 Tiger Soldiers on you.
3. Being almost a third of your force, yeah. So it's a third of your force. You don't know what's in it. Well, that's what makes reinforcements fun. Transbehemoth Comlink is operated by the insufferable 5-year-old screaming, "I'm going to call my dad." I'm going to call my dad on you. Adrian Britton, hi Adrian. It would be interesting to know how the CB development team tried reinforcements in both public and private information styles to test the effects. But I suspect that CB won't comment. They probably won't. We'll never know.
I mean, we've discussed.
We can ask, can't we?
Yeah,
we can ask and see.
Cora and I, when we were chatting pre and post game on Friday, have come up with a few things we want to test. We are going to play a couple of games where our reinforcements are private information. I'm sure, because if it's going to make, is it going to make that much of a difference? We'll find out. I mean, it's going to be slightly biased because we know each other quite well and we know each other's collections of models quite well. But Claw paints phenomenally quickly, so he'll probably be able to surprise me. And something else I want to try that you sound quite up for was trying a 350-point list, including the reinforcements option, against a 300-point list. Because I think that would have been quite a nice way to do it, to have the option of including reinforcements and getting a 350-point list, or not including reinforcements and having just 300 points.
I think that's going to be heavily down to who goes first and second.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Quite possibly, but we'll find out. It depends. If you take a strong ARO 250-point list with those 2 Yan Hos you were talking about with the missile launchers, am I going to want to move anywhere, even if I've got 300 points?
Yeah, extra burst, Neurosynetics with multiple missiles, yeah. In a good place.
But we definitely need to play more games, build more lists to get a better feel for it. These are our first thoughts, having read the rules, played around with Army for a week or so now at this point. Well, not even
I got to admit, I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And if all the reinforcements games are like that, then fantastic. That's all I want to play. But having a survey group of 1 It's not. It's not the best number of a survey, is it? Yeah.
Not really.
I think we're still looking forward to playing more games with it. We're still eager to experiment with it. We all have concerns about things like the release schedule for the reinforcements packs, because if it's not a successful option, if it ends up being kind of like Soldiers of Fortune, which I don't think I've ever been to an event where Soldiers of Fortune was a thing, and it just sort of peters out and is included in the ITS pack year on year, but no one actually really plays with it. Does that then affect the release schedule? Are we never going to see models for things down the bottom of the list? Is the Cascuda the only, and the extra, obviously the only extra we ever see? That sort of thing is going to impact it. How people end up playing lists, whether the open or private information thing gets redebated. There's lots of things that we want to see more information about and play around with, and challenge CB on, because obviously we're now moving towards a living rulebook, and this is still just the first edition of these rules. If the community wants things to be changed a certain way, a playtest group of the entire Infinity community is guaranteed to be bigger than the playtesters they had. And as Carlos said when he was on Tabletop, there's things that they, as the games developers and the playtesters, can't see because they just don't have the volume of data of everybody playing it. So I think there's always scope for change.
And that's the beauty about a living rule book and an army builder that they've got control of, and it's free. Is that they can change things, and they do change things. We know that, and I like that, to be honest. I do like that.
Yeah, Yelena Kovac got a nice upgrade for Nomads. I saw in the update. She went up 3 points, but she gained tactical awareness, which I think is actually quite nice.
All right then.
I was going to just say, while we're on about playing games and things, have we even mentioned the campaign that they're going to be running as well? That was in the update, wasn't it?
We haven't mentioned.
So there's some going to.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Ogre. You can take that one.
No, it's all right. We'll just keep interrupting each other. No, I don't know. I can't remember the name of it. But it's going to be another release on tabletop.
Oh yeah, the campaign thing, the big one. They've done.
But that's going to give us an excuse, isn't it, to play more games
and film them and put them up. Well, I think we did it. We did it on the channel. We did a couple of games of the channel last time.
It's just not quite long enough, is it? In a way,
3 weeks is a very short window to try and get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, to film, edit, and get them up, it's a push. Even though I kind of got that last video up very quickly, it was my whole Saturday was gone.
Yeah, I got lots of interesting messages from you throughout the Saturday. I forgot I had a tin bot.
Yes, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. If you saw a tournament that had reinforcements at the moment, would you be interested in going? Ogre?
No. Because I've not practiced enough, and nobody else has practiced enough either. And as an organizer, time is a massive, massive thing. And I just know everything would run long, and it would be just a mess. We need 2 or 3 months of playing games regularly. You know, it's like when people turn up with a new army or never used before, and it's just not going to work in a tournament setting. You need to have practiced it, unless you're really, really at the top of your game. So no, I wouldn't. But ask me again in where are we? October, November, maybe, yeah.
Storm, would you be interested in going to a tournament that was rare?
I think similar to Ogre, I'd say yes, but not for about 3 months, because the models aren't out. The models aren't available to take the stuff you want to take, and that for me more than anything else would influence whether I went to play or not, and it would certainly influence the faction I took. So, for example, I wouldn't feel like I could take my nomads and have to proxy my entire reinforcement section. I'd end up having to take a reinforcement section with the models I have, which may not be a reinforcement section I wanted to take. So the models need to be out and people need time to practice. So I would imagine we're not going to see a huge number of reinforcements tournaments. We'll see some, but I don't think we'll see a huge number for a number of months. I think October.
So
November.
good luck, Miko. I really thoughts and prayers are with you. We hope you can get your 3 rounds in a day. Really do. So best of luck in 3 weeks in Helsinki. Okay, a few more comments have come in. I love the idea of reinforcements list versus standard list, especially in a campaign play. Yeah, Darren. That's from Darren. Madden, if it completely fails, it will be nice to see using minis as proxies. Salsa Warrior would be my beast hunter for sure, with a different hat on, maybe.
You've really got it in for that hat.
People think I'm opinionated.
No.
Kitaki 89. I hate having 2 separate game modes. I would rather see both being useful. Not a fan of being a beta tester with possibility of not being able to use profiles if opponents won't use it reinforcements. Chris Williamson. Something I'm as happy about. I would have liked a bespoke missions. I know it's coming in the new ITS season, but at the moment the missions don't suit that format. And some do, some don't. It depends on the mission, really. Miko, I've only played 1 reinforcement game so far. We didn't notice any difference in gameplay and time. We may be even finished a bit quicker than normal, if anything. Wow. We can only go on what experience we've had so far, the analysis paralysis and all that kind of stuff. So really do wish you all the best, Mecca.
Apparently we overthink, Claw.
Yeah, well, we do, because we're deep thinkers. I am, anyway.
I think that might have broken Ogre, that one.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
I think we are pretty much done now with our thoughts on reinforcements. I think a safe summation would be we have concerns, but we're looking forward to trying it more, and we're enjoying the getting to look at Infinity in a different way. Would you agree with that, guys?
Yeah. Should you play reinforcements? Well, it depends.
Never let him answer any questions. That's always his answer.
Okay, and I think with that, we've been at it you've been listening to us for an hour and a half, and we appreciate you joining in. Don't forget to tick that like button and all them comments and all that kind of stuff. It really helps to go for the algorithm monsters that YouTube have, all that kind of, so we can reach more people. If you're not subscribed, a subscription, it makes us happy. All that kind of stuff. I think from myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll join us in the next time. And from the other 2 guys,
yeah, thank you. See you again.
Cheers, guys. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.